Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been told that somehow, in some baffling way, that according to RMC, a spoon is just a very, very small shovel.
Other way around.
Other way around. Shovel is a large spoon.
No,
Come on.
it's virtually the same thing. You're comparing it in that way. And because we're coming into this matchup of V3 Esports versus Rascal Jesters, which in some way is calling David versus Goliath, like technology versus a giant that doesn't really understand. I mean, I feel like that's where we're at here, because we've got the team of Rascal Jesters who didn't want second place because they lost their own destiny spot. So now they're going to beat it up on V3 Esports.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come to you first, Middlecop, for this. Are DFM going to lose their speed run percent of V3 Esports in this match?
No.
Hold on.
That's where I'm going with this angle.
Is this really where we're taking this? We're
This
going
is the angle I'm going for this
final
match.
game
yes.
of the split for V3. We're not going to see them in playoffs because of, obviously,
No.
things that have happened. And you're like, yeah, Rascal Jester, how hard can you beat up on these kids? Come on, man. You got to give them a little bit of hope.
Okay, you
in all
give me the
seriousness,
hopium then.
In all seriousness, though, I do think that Rascal Jester are heavily favoured. I will keep harping on about Washidai in the top lane for V3, though, because I think he is I think he has the potential to be that big carry player, and maybe once we get into the summer split, that's where we're going to see him pop off. But I agree with you.
Didn't go so good for him.
Right, Lexi. If we're going to be charting the times that it's not gone well for various members of V3, okay, that's going to be a very big chart. That's all I'm saying.
We don't have to do much of this. Thankfully, Pick and Ban Face is already upon us. I mean, let's see how the Jesters do this. All right, gentlemen, take it away. RMC, how are you feeling about this matchup, by the way, as you go to Pick and Ban?
Okay. Well, you know what? I feel like this is a spoon versus spade situation. It is going to be kind of tough for the spoon, but sometimes the spoon's a little bit better. And in the defense of Washidai here, I got to say, Washidai was winning that top lane against Paz. So Washidai, there's hope here. And the draft was kind of odd. Now, we went to Pick and Bans, of course, V3 on the blue side, banning out Kai'Sa, Zeri, and Volibear here. So we're seeing a bit of a focus already to Soul. Honestly, I don't think it matters. Jinx is still open. Soul can still carry.
Yeah, it feels like the AD carry meta has really opened up a fair bit, and there are so many more champions that you can opt for if you're a particularly skilled player. Jarvan, though, initial lock-in for V3, I feel like does dissuade that Jinx a little bit.
Yeah, especially, if the Thresh doesn't get picked up. There are ways to try and punish immobile AD carries. And Middlecott, I mean, for this particular game, you kind of heard Lexi and Maswan there saying that it really should be Rascal Jester's favored. And if that's the case, I kind of want to see them clown. Pick some interesting picks here. Play around. Even if you lose, it's no big deal. And for V3 Esports, the opposite. This is your last chance to not go winless this split. And that would be a first for the LJL for a team to not pick up a single win all split long.
You just want to land a W. Just get something in there. Yep. Rascal Jester, going for something a little bit spicier like you were asking for. We have seen the Lee Sin Senna combo from them before, and it looked damn good. I mean, Secret was honestly looking like a jungler, the way that he was mechanically piloting Lee Sin. Obviously can still be flexed if they want to go for another pick in that bot lane. So yeah, a little bit of adaptability already from the Jesters.
Yeah, I absolutely love this particular pocket pick they have because it's messing up the draft so hard for every other team. You never quite know where it's going to go. V3, on the other hand, they did this last time, and I had big questions about it, picking the Gnar blind. They didn't kind of hold it, and they ended up using their R5 against Sengoku for their AD carry pick instead. This time, they're looking to blind the Gnar once again, and I've got to say, Washidai's looked great on that Gnar pickup. This is the LJL, so yeah, go for it. Rise being picked up as well for Eugeo here. And there are some cheese combos you can pull off with Mega Gnar Rise. We haven't seen them yet, but
yeah,
hope springs eternal here, Middlecott.
Hopefully, like a little bit of setup, a little bit of wombo combos are kind of what we need. I don't feel like Eno's the player that's really going to punish a Gnar early first pick, so I can kind of see why V3 would opt to leave their bot lane to second rotation, but that does mean that they can sort of start to be banned out as these final few bans do come through. Saying that though, Camille, pretty good into the Gnar actually.
Yep, Herbert, you're laying down middle card, and he took it
Yeah, he
personal.
shut me up.
You pick a Camille to stomp Gnar, especially in the mini Gnar form, the ability to engage on that. So if you're picking this Camille for I want to see some attention paid to that top lane, get him snowballing, and then if you can shut Washidare down. So far, we haven't really seen any other players really step up for V3 yet. So yeah, it's a pretty good way of just trying to stop this composition from V3 already.
And now, because V3 did leave their bot lane to this sort of final rotation, we see Rascal Jester throwing a ban at Hetel, taking that rail off the table. Do you think they want to double down on these support bans, or are there AD carries that need to be taken away from the pool as well?
Yeah, I think they can just focus on the supports here, because for the side of V3, Dresscode really hasn't been that big a carry. He's been serviceable, certainly not what I'd call a liability by any means, but he's also not necessarily going to be the one to make things happen. Hetel, on the other hand, often does serve as the engage. Xayah ban middle card. We were just talking about Xayah, and neither of us are terribly big fans of seeing it in the LGL so far.
So it works in like specific scenarios as a pick, right? Xayah is a champion that is really good into dive because you use that ultimate, the Featherstorm, go up, go on target will in the air, and then you can pull the feathers back on people trying to dive you. So in those scenarios where loads of people are running into you, it's great, right? But we do see teams pick it in scenarios where it generally can't do that. I think that Rascal Jester have got a little bit of dive, so maybe it was something that they were worrying about, but maybe not strictly necessary. Now the Jesters need to go, are we going to lock in a jungler here? Are we going to reveal where the Lee Sin is going? Or do we pick up a mid laner and leave that flexible option right until the final pick?
Yeah, and for recap here, the Veigar is still available. That's something that he's performed incredibly well on. The Ahri did get banned away, and middle court, why not both? You pick the Seraphine, it could be support, it could be mid, we don't really know. I would say I think the Seraphine mid would look better. Seraphine Senna in the bot lane, it's serviceable, but it's also highly punishable by something like that, J4. And V3 here, they're looking to pick up their bot lane. All they know for a fact is Senna's going to be down there. Besides that, no clue.
And this Ezreal lock-in would imply a little bit more of a passive lane. Maybe we see Hetel up towards something like the Leona. Oh my god! I have not seen a Maokai in League of Legends Pro or solo queue in what feels like years. RMC, what the hell is going on here?
This is V3's little bit of spice here. It is their last chance here to get a dub. And you know what? I like the Maokai. I think it synergizes well with the Gnar, with the J4 here. Even with the Realm Warp, if you can get behind them, that Nature's Grasp can be very, very powerful to kind of catch them from behind. So I like where V3's at here. The problem is, what are they running into on the side of Rascal Jesters? It's going to be probably a Senna Sion bot lane they're playing into here. And sure, burst control is nice. Having the ability to team fight is nice, but having that Sion be able to frontline, buy so much time for the Senna is going to make it hard for this Maokai to find his way through this lane.
Yeah, I think that tank line is one of the real things that Rascal Jesters are kind of missing from their comp. Like, you've got good pick options with the Lee Sin, with the Camille. You've got sustain with the Senna and the Seraphine that can also pump out varying amounts of DPS depending on the builds that they opt in for. But there was no one that can kind of just stand in the way of everything. And that is exactly what a Sion wants to do.
Now, I would argue that Sion support, well, not really support, I guess, because he'll be farming. So yeah. Sion will get tanky as time goes on, but early on is punishable, especially in that bot lane where he's not going to get quite as much experience here. So I would like to see V3 send some attention down there.
But RMC, that
no way.
Is... If we pop over to the live feed, I believe that we have actually got a Sion mid lane and a Seraphine in the bot lane. Okay, so somehow we're going to end up with tank v tank in the mid lane here. And, I mean, bot lane is even squishier now for Rascal Jester.
You know what, Middle God? I'm believing the V3 copium right now. If ever there was a game, this would be it for V3 to actually be able to win this. For everything I said, that sound support, can be an issue for the Maokai. Seraphine, not so much. Yes, Seraphine can out-sustain you, but if you're the Maokai here, she's burstable. And if she gets hit by a couple of saplings here, this is kill territory. And I don't know what a Sion mid's going to do against the Rise. I've not seen a Sion mid in a hot minute. The last time I think I saw it was back in season 2 when it was still an AP mage.
Oh yeah, and he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Just like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Some of the old VOs were a little bit funky, but we are into game now. RMC V3 looking for 1-20, the Dream, Rascal Jester, with a bit more of a, well, I think both teams have got fairly interesting compositions. Red side team unable to secure second place, unfortunately, locked into third, but want to go out of the regular split with a win. And I think season 2 points good, but this does feel like something Doinby played at his peak when he was so good a few seasons back. So not something completely new to this competitive stage, but definitely a bit of a spicier pick. Cattell going for an engage onto Secret here at the level 1. That's a fair bit of damage actually traded through, but the Maokai almost giving as good as he's got there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note how this sort of bot lane dynamic works, because yes, Seraphine's got sustained,
oh,
but so does Maokai.
Ignite dropped as well. Secret, no way out of this one. One more auto, but not quite in time. You said that V3 possibly have the best chance to grab a win in the final date of the split, and they are going for it.
They are, and you love to see it, right? Because the way this sort of bot lane works is you need to be constantly aggressive if you are the side of V3. The sustain from Seraphine Senna is absolutely disgusting. So if you're not killing them, they are healing themselves back up. And Hetel here needs to be the one to tank damage, because Maokai has self-sustain in lane. He can heal back up. Dress Code can't. So V3's bot lane here getting real spicy, and HaChaMecha now pathing down towards this bot side as well. This window of pressure for V3 kind of closing a little bit. I want to see them play a bit more carefully. Wait till Unica is down there to reinforce. And in a 3v3, they could still win. The Secret is still very, very low.
I mean, the thing is, we already saw how much burst can come out from the Ezreal and the Maokai when it's just an initial engage on someone. When you're pairing that up with that extra CC that Unica is going to provide on this Jarvan, who does want to be getting out on the map and doing things early. And with no flash on Secret, I think that kills are likely, but there are no summoners on the V3 bot lane either, so it would be risky if Hatcher were to make his way down. Doesn't look like he's going to be doing that, though, clearing through his walls and maybe going towards his top side.
Unica is in the area, though, and the wave is pushing out here. So Unica is just buying a bit of time. After you pick up that scuttle, that wave should be in the perfect spot here, middle cot. And the question is, do Rascal Jesters know, and are they going to deal with this? They're calling for assistance here because they know that they're starting to get a little bit exposed with this push.
Yeah, but as that wave is pushed out, that does mean that HaChaMecha has fewer options to find a gank path. Could go for a lane gank, but would be investing a lot of time here.
I think it's going to be efficient, because I don't think V3 knows or is aware of this right now. So they're trying to call Unica back down here. And actually, Yu-Gi-Oh's coming as well. HaChaMecha doesn't know. Is the recall complete?
As a recall go through, Unica has been spotted and the Lee Sin is still around. This could go badly for V3. It could go badly for Unica, as he's going to be first blood. Not the great start that V3 wanted in their final game of the split, but exactly what Rascal Jesters wanted.
Efficient.
Very efficient, man.
I mean, that kill was served up on a silver platter for HaChaMecha. HaChaMecha was about to go back to base, and it kind of worked out topside to Washidai.
You know, does have the ignite. Did counter pick this Camille into the Nara, and we kind of expected it to go this way, bullying out Washidai in these early stages. When you are Millie, you don't have all those resistances, you don't have that bonus HP, and you don't really have too much CC that can get the Camille off of you when she does go for those long extended trades. Yeah,
and with the Nara at that level, first couple of levels before first buys, Nars can win the lane with that range advantage. But the fact that Washidai wasn't able to, and now that has picked up the Sheen, this is usually where it starts getting a little bit tough for the Gnar, when those Qs really start to chunk through from the Camille. So topside's in trouble, and V3 focused the bot lane. I appreciated the thought here, but they can no longer do that. If you're spending all your attention bot side, Washidai is in for a lot of problems to this top side here, especially if HaChaMecha does decide to just throw a gank or two in that top side. Soul and Secret really don't need resources. That's one of the annoying parts about a Seraphine lane, is that you can just abandon it and it'll scale. Oh, it scales ridiculously hard. I feel like playing against a Seraphine with 3 items is almost unwinnable, just because of how much shielding and CCs she can put out. And Washidai has really been a strong point for V3, dodging away from that hook shot wall dive, just demonstrating how much skill
he has developed over the course of the split. Obviously not been enough for V3 Esports, but one of those players that we are keeping an eye on for summer. Recap here in the mid lane has opted towards Pickaxe, which would imply to me, RMC, as we were just completely ignoring that top lane play, a Hole Breaker.
Oh my god. Okay, I see where this is going now, Middlecon. This is horrifying for this Ion. Yeah, because I was thinking, what are you doing with this Ion in the mid lane? You mentioned that Doinby's played it before. I was thinking, okay, maybe you just roam to the side lanes with the unstoppable onslaught constantly. But no, yeah, Hullbreaker makes a lot of sense because I was thinking Ryze is one of the few champions that actually can handle a tank in the mid lane. He does a lot of sustained damage. But if you start building that Hullbreaker, suddenly the wave clear isn't as efficient from this Ryze. Suddenly, you're so tanky that you can actually cause him to run out of mana in lane despite A tier. And I still don't think it's necessarily optimal, but it will be interesting. And frankly, Middlecott, that's all I'm asking of this series here is make it interesting.
And you can kind of see like the thought behind the Sion pick as well, because he is a tank that has very strong wave clear and can sort of just AFK, hit those minions, take them out, and then do what he wants. Ryze is a champion. I feel like a UGO wants to be roaming a lot to the side lanes, but if he's constantly being pushed in, it's a lot harder to actually be proactive on the map.
Yeah, and anytime you leave, you know, with a demolition proc, Recap is going to be taking 1-2 plates every time here. So the Sion pick, definitely, you can see where it's kind of working, and you can see UGO as well starting to roam up already here, doesn't want to be in lane. I'm sure communication has come down to, hey, UGO's missing, be careful. But the question is, does Eno know it's coming topside?
Oh, hell. Taking so much damage in the bot side. This Maokai, it looked good for about 30 seconds. At the moment, it's going kind of as well as you would expect. Washdai doing a fair bit of damage there onto Eno on the top side. Drake picked up for Rascal Jesters, and more time on this bot lane tower. This is going pretty well for them, despite being a bit of a slower pace game.
I think pretty well is a massive understatement. Soul and Secret are doing
very quite well.
Yeah, very, very quite well. Yeah, they're doing better than Utapon and Harp did with that Caitlyn lane last game. So, you know, that's really fast with the Senna Seraphine bot side. And I think this is one of the problems that V3 is having right now. UGO can't find a play. They were looking topside, but Eno wasn't shoved out enough here. And so was Unica. And with all that attention topside, their bot side's getting punished. If they focus bot side, suddenly Rascal Jesters focus top. Herald being done right now. This should be a clean take. Hachimetra isn't in position. The question is, does Rascal Jesters want to follow up on that? They've rotated everybody to the top side.
But ultimately, not choosing to contest that Herald objective. And if they'd taken the Drake a little bit earlier, then maybe they are in a position to contest that. It's those small sort of like micro advantages. It's the sort of things that we like to see when we have these top teams against teams that are a little bit lower in the standings. It's how clean are you playing your macro, and a little bit of a fumble, honestly, in my opinion, from Rascal Jesters there, allowing V3 to pick up that Herald.
Fair enough. I will keep in mind as well, though, that Rascal Jesters is not really known as an early game team. So these sort of fumbles are pretty much par for the course. Where they really tend to excel is the mid game. And that's where I'm getting a little bit worried for V3, because that's where they've traditionally struggled. Washide, oh wow, that was interesting. I think if that had landed, it could potentially have been bad for Eno.
Oh, he just wanted that last shot to get the Gnar off, chuck into a wall and deal a heck of a ton of damage to him. Hetel still being bullied in this bot side, and Eno being bullied in the top lane. Get some resources into this Gnar, man. He's doing a great job by his own, and I feel like the attention for Unica would be of benefit. Hachimetra, though, looking for the V3 jungler, actually going for him, already taking him down to half HP, and with the cheat towards the top side of the lane from Soul and Secret, he's going to be just fine there. But once again, Hetel caught under his own tower, plates are being dropped low as well, and V3, I feel like they need to make a play at some point because they're slowly bleeding out on this bot side.
And I feel like it has to come from Unica, right? Like, where else is your engage coming from? Hetel, the ultimate from the Maokai is so slow moving, you're never going to catch the Senna or the Seraphine. And Yu-Gi-Oh just can't seem to catch a break. He's trying to leave lane, doing a great job keeping up the farm, but Recap's always matching. And sure, you've got Realm Warp, but Recap has unstoppable onslaught to drift his way into the side lanes.
Yeah, and if you aren't fighting an outnumbered fight, probably gonna lose it. Unica making a visit towards this top side, dropping the Herald down. Unfortunately, not going to be first tower for V3 as Rascal Jester have picked that one up, but gold into Washidai is what we want to see.
Yep, it's it's sort of the consolation prize here, and it's worth noting V3 had the Herald the entire time. They could have dropped it. Washide's been doing amazing, absolutely nuts here, and I kind of want to see that we're talking about that gank from Unica, right? Why not go into the top side? Why not look for Eno here? Granted, hookshot is going to get you out the Cataclysm, but I feel like you don't need that much to give Washide a way to engage. Washide has been struggling to get there in Mega Gnar form, but if he can reach in Mega Gnar form, a flag and drag is all you need for Washide to potentially find V3's first kill.
It would be a good setup for them. And I'm like, the Mega Gnar as well with a Cataclysm, that feels like a combo that is just like easy to do. Just one and done. You just run that. You knock Eno into the wall. He doesn't have that flash, so it is all on that hook shot. If that gets interrupted, then there's not a lot of safety on this Camille. Of course, she is going to scale into the matchup, but for the time being, it's Washidai that has that advantage. Drake is spawning in a minute's time. Rascal Jester currently have the position around it. V3 feels like they can kind of go for something here.
My hopes have been somewhat dashed here, Midocott, of Washidai being that team fight carry, of getting ahead and joining the rest of the team.
He's
he
got
just got Hullbreaker. Yep. Washidai has no intention of joining the rest of the team. He's going, you know what? I'm going to 1v5 this, and you guys just stay alive, keep turrets up. I kind of don't blame him, because we said that V3's really been struggling to find themselves a hero here, but my goodness, to see that built on 12.5 after it's been nerfed on ranged champions, that's just painful to watch.
And with Recap matching up against him, it doesn't feel like he can even pressure out his opponent in the top side, because Recap also has that Hullbreaker, and the Sion is a tanky customer even without that item. So yeah, you're going to be a long time trying to kill this guy on the side lane, and that means that you are not getting advantages with the one lane for V3 that was actually winning.
Oh dear, yeah. I like the idea in isolation, but like you said, the fact that you're being matched with the Hullbreaker is an issue, and both of them have teleport. Recap, we've mentioned the Unstoppable Onslaught before, will be able to rejoin the team a little bit better as well, a bit more consistently. You don't have to charge up a rage bar. And Midocott, the other problem is the rest of V3, right? We're saying that the rest of V3 just needs to hold. They're not able to hold. Secret and Soul are getting so much chip damage in every single lane that they go to. They already took bot side. Mid lane turret now down to 3 plates already here, and that's with Unica, with Yu-Gi-Oh constantly popping their head in to try and alleviate some of that pressure.
And RMC, we're 13.5 minutes into the game. We've got more Drakes than kills at this point, and it feels like this has been a bit of an issue, although saying that...
Have you cursed it? Have you cursed it? Oh.
Potentially cursed it. I don't feel like that's a curse at that point. I feel like if we're seeing more kills in this game, it's a blessing, but unfortunately... a blessing not to be. Hatel using the flash to get out of that potential engage in the mid lane. But it's been very slow paced and very uninteractive from both of these teams. We know that that's what Rascal Jester like to do. They like to play these slower games. But come on, man, speed it up a little bit. It's the last game of the split. This doesn't matter for your standings at all. Can we please have some more excitement, guys?
Yeah, send in the clowns, Rascal Jesters. Where is our entertainment here? I was tickled by the draft, but not anymore. I mean, Recap's doing nothing but split pushing anyway, so this Sion really isn't as exciting. And I'm sorry to say here, Midocott, but I just don't see Rascal Jesters being aggressive for the next little while. Mythics are starting to come through. First item completed across everybody pretty much, but Senna scales up infinitely. Seraphine, like you said, 3 items is nigh unkillable. So there's really no rush for the Jesters. Instead, it's V3 who might be feeling the pressure, but they too have a Rise. They too have an Ezreal, both of whom are looking to scale. So it's Unica or bust, and right now it's looking like bust.
So when should we expect our next fight then, RMC? Like, what's the next thing that's going to happen that these teams should actually be fighting over?
They should be fighting over this Herald. I mean, you can see V3 are walking up. They want to contest it. They're looking for it. But the problem is Rascal Jesters don't need to fight you. They just need to kind of zone you off, maybe. Oh, fight.
Yeah, Hachimecha being engaged onto the Cataclysm dropped as well. Able to flash away. And whilst that looks cool, RMC, that's one less proactive tool on the map, which makes me upset as... top lane tower does fall for Recap, and V3 are potentially getting pincered here. Hatcher is still very low off of that engage, around about 2/3 HP, but does still have access to that Dragon's Rage if he wants to go in. TP's being challenged as well as Yujo is flashing forward. Double roots, Encore onto 2.
Oh.
There goes the piercing dart
Here we
as the
go.
Secret secures the first kill, and it's a second for Rascal Jester as Hatchemetcha 1v1ing Unica on the other side of the map. We wanted this game to get explosive, and Rascal Jester's obliged with 4 kills in the topside river.
I am happy here, Middlecott. Not only do we get to see the action that we've been craving for 16 minutes of the game, but the macro well played as well from Rascal Jesters. They used Recap to get that topside turret before they collapsed in as well. The vision play as well from Rascal Jesters. They have full control of this area. You can see right now that they can account for every single member of the side of V3, and they could see Dress Code off on the side because they have all those wards. Dress Code never cleared that pink, and because they have full vision here, they know when they can engage, and the Encore coming through ends up catching multiple members. Yu-Gi-Oh's did before he can really do anything. Dress Code didn't get the poke down fast enough, and I feel bad for Rashide because you're teleporting in for this fight. You had the Mega Gnar Rage Bar charged up, but this is one of those moments where, you know, as Rashide, you build Hullbreaker, maybe you just tell your team, hey, guys, I'm split pushing. Just give up the Herald, right? Just don't fight this, and instead, you get killed.
But RMC, it's gold efficient. Copium, the stats are gold efficient. Yeah, you don't really want to be grouping up. You want to be fighting alone. You want to be hunting alone. Like, the item literally tells you to do that. But V3, they went in for that fight, and it went badly for them. I do just want to shout out very quickly, Soul's flash there, away from the flash womb prison from Yu-Gi-Oh was perfectly timed. If he didn't get that off, he goes down, and maybe V3 can play out the rest of this fight. But as it stands, we've got a Drake spawning in 30 seconds time. It'd be Soul point for Rascal Jester, but it's actually V3 the ones moving into the river first. The real question is, can they keep this priority?
Yeah, looking for it. Hatchemetcha, no flash this time, but does have backup, and it's a double support, so you can heal him up. It's just so rough here. Cataclysm is up, and I feel like Unica, you need to kind of brute force this here. Let's go.
Flash forced from Secret there, but it's patient. It's patient stuff. He's just burning cooldowns, meaning that the next time he goes for that engage, it's going to go a little bit better. Recap, though, just chilling. Unperturbed as V3 are looking for an engage in the mid lane. That was not the best timed uncrawl that I've ever seen, and Secret is going to be punished for it. Just a single kill, though. Can V3 translate it into anything more?
I don't know. They've got to go for this dragon, but Recap's still in their base pushing. Yu-Gi-Oh actually having to TP back, and this means that the fight in the dragon is by no means secure here. Hatchemetcha could still look for a steal. They've even dropped the Herald for additional pressure.
Recap is TPing in as well. Washidai is in mini form. There is no tank for V3. There's a big one for Rascal Jess. Into the backline, Eno and Hatchemetcha dive. They have to jump back out, but they are going back in. Pick only onto one, but it's the first kill of the fight already secured. Second one picked up by Recap, and Dress Code has nowhere to go. Yu-Gi-Oh now going to be the focus of Soul, but just out of range. Rascal Jester showing us why they're the third place team.
Well, Middlecott, you said, that these sort of games are the games for the higher seeded team to prove their stuff. Has Rascal Jesters proved themselves to you? Up 7,000 gold pre 20 minutes here, 8-1. The only death kind of from Secret's questionable Encore. And even then, like you said, it burnt summoners. So Middlecott, is this to your satisfaction?
It's pretty damn good. Rascal Jesters have kind of done everything that they've needed to do in the last 8 minutes or so, which is excellent. And even taking that mid lane inhibitor is a signal of intent, right? Generally, you don't want to be taking that because you're feeding minions in, blah, 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 blah. Don't care about that. Take structures, win games, and this was the fight that pretty much secured it for them. Yeah,
and it was that patient play from Unica kind of getting them that particular pick. The issue is what happens after that, right? And Rascal Jesters, this is why they're such a good late game team. My goodness, can't even say that straight. They challenge your decision making. Recap is forcing you to kind of say, somebody answers me, we are okay to give you dragon, or I take your entire base. And the moment somebody goes back, you had to burn a TP to get there in time. And so Recap gets the TP in, make sure that they have that strength advantage. What should have been a 5v4 or 5v3 situation ended up becoming a 4v5 and 4v4, pardon me. And Rascal Jesters they're just stronger right now. Eno might be struggling the 1v1, but he's got 4 kills and he's more efficient in these team fights.
RMC, Recap's got a Trinity Force.
Oh my, is this going to be the zombie Scion tech?
This is,
Oh my
I mean, the zombie Scion tech is hurting. Like, if you're V3, jumping on top of you as Secret is getting jumped on top of by Unica, throws out the Encore, but so many people coming in, piling in the damage and the CC, but Unica is going to get taken down in the 3v4. TP's coming through as Nature's Graph is also used. Hatel going to be rooted up in the end, but so is Eno. Recap on a flank, though, on the Scion, and there is nowhere to go for V3. Kick onto Dress Code. The resonating strike not even going to be needed as Yujiro is actually pumping out a fair bit of damage. A Recap, the only member of Rascal Jester currently left alive. Very tanky on the Scion, but is he tanky enough? Turning around, thinking about opting back in for that trade, but will just pack away. And I don't think that V3 had any right winning that fight.
No, they don't, but hope springs eternal here, Middlecott, and you cannot ignore the Rise. Now, with the Fimble Winter completed, it's just pumping out the damage. Now, the fight starts off, and I want to highlight this Encore from Secret again, because I think Secret's Encores have not been on point right now, and I understand why you had to pull the trigger early, because they were worried about dying, but if you had waited till the Realm War had completed, there have been so much easier. Thankfully, though, for the side of V3, Yujiro basically is untouched. Yes, they went in on him initially, but after this little play, they completely forgot about him because they kicked Dress Code in and they were like, oh, let's kill the Ezreal. He's the slippery Ezreal. Yeah, he is, but he's not necessarily the only damage threat. Rise's damage threat is right up there, and Recap, for all that he built a Trinity Force right now, still doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah, it's kind of just to like get a little bit of extra burst when you're engaging anyway. It doesn't turn you into someone that can 1v2 on the backside of the fight, especially as you were talking about with 2 items already completed on that Rise. 2 items on the Ezreal as well. These damage carries are not at irrelevant points in the game, and I think that's going to be very important in a minute and a half's time when V3 are going to have to fight over Hextech Soul.
Yeah, and the team fights right now are actually slightly in favor of V3 because Rascal Jesters are relying very heavily on Soul to be their primary sustained damage through a lot of these fights. So as long as V3 can kill Soul, I don't care who you have to expend to do it. As long as you do it and either Yujiro or Dress Code are still alive, V3 could potentially still win these fights here. So very clear win cons for V3. And once again, I'm looking at Unica and I'm looking at Washidai a little bit. Washidai has shown that, hey, I'm not just split pushing. I'm actually willing to come team fight with the rest of the team. And if your Gnar is team fighting with the rest of the team, your Gnar needs to be able to disrupt these fights, needs to find priority targets.
I mean, we've seen over the course of many years of pro play how one Gnar can just completely change the complexion of a fight and the complexion of an entire game. Washidai wants to show off that carry potential that a lot of us believe that he can have and he can develop into one of those big carry players. Then getting those ultimates in games like this is a good way to start that off. Recap, though, just completely doesn't care about Yujiro in the side lane. Inhib tower going down. Does still have that TP, so can get to that Drake when it spawns in 30 seconds time. But Yujiro is going to have to run over there quick sharp if he wants to be there in time to help his team.
Yeah, they set Washidai to try and deal with Recap. Now this works a little bit better here. Recap not quite able to deal with that. And interestingly enough, this is Trinity
just backing away
now.
as Rascal Jester do still have the priority around this Drake, spawning in 5 seconds time. But V3 are still thinking about opting in. They kind of need to, because if this Drake goes over, then it is absolutely a loss. TPs are being channeled. They are going to go for this one. Rascal Jester just backing away. They do not want to take a flip, but V3 are going to go, we are more than happy to do that. As the Dragon is stolen away. Hachimecha not able to secure it as Eno is fighting a Yujiro in a losing battle for the V3 mid laner. And now V3 Esports corralled into the Dragon Pit, have nowhere to go. You get the Drake, but 3 of you die. Is that really worth?
No, but you get objective bounties and you had no choice. And now, unfortunately, Rascal Justice, because they managed to find the kills on the back end, onto Dress Code, onto Hato, onto Unica, this is a free Baron for them there. And I think V3's plan was get the Dragon, get out, and huge props to Recap for actually finding Dress Code in the midst of all that chaos. I mean, with an Arcane Shift, Dress Code should have been safe over the back of the pit, but unfortunately wasn't quite able to do it. And watch the TPs here, because you can see that where they come in. Recap's actually further away, so the odds were really good at first for V3, but they're kind of split. And more importantly, Washidai is mini. You can't team fight this. You need to get out here. Oh, Dresscode had to burn the Arcane Shift early. So yeah, wasn't able to get out. And once you lose this many people, you can lose 1, tops 2, and still contest that Baron. You lose 3, and one of them being your jungler. Sure, you got the dragon, you stopped the soul, but Roscoe Jester's got Baron. And
I can hear almost sort of like the pain in your voice. Like that was it was close to V3, but they weren't able to make it happen. And yeah, now RJ, they don't have a Hextech soul, but they've got another big late game buff in that Baron, and they've already got 2 open inhibs. So maybe this could be the Baron that actually ends the game. Washidai is going to run into Eno in the top side, and with the support from EUJ, will force the Rascal Jester top lane away. But that's 2 members invested to the top side of the map, and there's no one really to defend this mid lane against Recap. I don't think Dresscode's going to be able to do the job.
So, Middlecott, the reason why you hear pain in my voice has less to do with the fact that V3 lost the fight and more to do with what I'm imagining Recap's about to do to them with the Baron buff. He was already ignoring everybody but Washidai on these pushes with that Trinity Force, with that Hullbreaker. Now you've got Baron buff as well. He's going to be able to more efficiently take these starts. And I would actually like to see Roscoe Jesters 4-1 where they send the 4 into those open inhibs instead. Realm Warp.
RMC. Soul is going to be the focus. Washidai jumping on top of him, but misses with the wallop, and that means the Senna continues to fire from the backline. Hachimetra going in and turning around the fight right at the start. 1 kill for Rascal Jester as he goes forward once again, and Hatel, Washidai, and co are going to be forced to run away. Recap's just in the base, taking down the Nexus towers. This is a 4v4, but you still don't win it, V3. You are too far behind at this point. Yes, Eno goes down. Yes, Eujo is able to get a single kill, but he is trapped under this tower. He has nowhere to go, and he has nothing to do. V3, they showed good things at points, but they're going to drop down for the final time this split. 0-21, not where you want to be, but a really great game from Rascal Jester.
Well, Middlecott, that is one way to set a first. First to 0-21 to split. Rough for V3 here. And I just feel super, super bad for V3 as a whole. They're an academy team, you know, chucked up here into the LJL. It has been a rough split for them. And hey, Washidai, really good in the 1v1s, but those team fights, those NARs weren't quite it. Middlecott, I just don't know, man.
Yeah. I think use the next couple months, take some time, keep this roster together. I think you've got good potential here. You've got a couple of strong players that can make stuff happen. But yeah, definitely looking towards summer and hopefully not going winless again. We're going to be hopping to a quick break now. Join us after that break for the Analyst Desk, where we're going to break down that win for Rascal Jester in a little bit more detail. Don't go anywhere.
do what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this Moss One Middle Cotton RMC, gentlemen. I've got to be in song because something historic has just happened in the LJL. V3 Esports are our first team to not pick up a win since we have reverted back to the triple round robin. And that is the single clap from Middle
Single
Cotton.
clap.
A few small claps, unable to be heard by the microphone. I feel like that is the fans of V3 Esport right now, being unable to be heard through the microphone. There were two good moments. So let's talk about those two good moments, because I think this is honestly how we need to reflect on V3 Esports. Few good moments throughout this whole split so far. A few times where they've actually been in the driver's seat, haven't been able to pick up a win. Middlecop, firstly, they almost got first blood on the V3 bot lane.
They did.
On the RJ bot lane.
And the fact that we're talking about burning a flash as a plus for V3 as a highlight from this game says a lot about how they played it out. But yeah, the Maokai, bit of a cheese pick, something that we don't really see, that we haven't really seen for
It's an
years.
ARAM special, I think.
At this point, the ARAM special, AP maxing the saplings. God, that is so
throwing it into
toxic
the
and
enemy
annoying.
brush and just being that guy.
It's just like unreasonable levels of damage, and it just seems undodgeable. But starting that twisted advance, going for the early all-in versus the Senna and the Seraphine, whose level 1 is kind of just like, we're standing here and we're really squishy. Please come and beat us up. Burnt a couple of summer spells, but they weren't able to follow up on them. They didn't get the repeat. Like, they didn't have the ganks coming through from Unica to punish those summoner spells being burned, and they actually ended up losing the bot lane in the way. So, yeah, it was a good start from V3 on that side of that, but ultimately doesn't even go in their favor in the long game.
And RMC, why does it not go in their favor?
I mean, part of the problem is we're talking about ARAM Maokai, right? And ARAM Maokai's biggest strength is bush control. The fact that you constantly toss saplings in there. We didn't see that happen in the bot side. In fact, Dresscode and Hetel were so shoved in, they couldn't even reach their first bush. And that became an absolute problem. Unica was just simply not there to relieve pressure. And Maswan, you asked me why that's the case. I'm going to put this on Unica right now. Did you see a single gank from Unica after that first bot side gank? Because I didn't. After that, there were attempts at team fights later on. But by then, unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dresscode, Hetel, all of them were so far behind that the fights got super dicey. And I think the fact that they even won any of those fights says a lot about the potential V3 have, which wasn't realized to split.
He's playing J4. That's a farming heavy champion, right? You need to get 6, and then you need to scale up to 11, and then you're like Kale. You get leveled up, right? That's how the champion works,
of course. I forgot the J and J4 stands for jokes. Yes, that's right.
Exactly. Jokes for you, V3 Esports. You're not going to be getting anything there. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Middlecourt, coming back to you, this was draft adaptation at the end of the day, and that's the big takeaway for us, I feel like, for Rascal Jester's perspective. We got to see some new flavors. Sion mid? What?
Well, I mean, stuff like that wouldn't be a world championship, so not the worst thing in the world, but yeah. Something.
That's the comparison, huh?
Well, yeah, a recap, Doinv, basically the same player. Little bit spicy for Rascal Jester. Honestly, I don't feel like they needed to pull out something like that. If this is a legitimate tactic that they want to use in playoffs later on, first of all, why are you doing it in the final game of the split when you're already locked into your position and you're playing against the last place team that hasn't won it? You could say mental game. I say you are revealing strategies for no reason.
Ban, I am pulling that out if we're on a desk together.
Okay. If it pulls a ban, then the Sion was good. But it kind of didn't feel like it needed to do anything this game. It was a solid split push threat, but I feel like V3 were just so inactive that honestly you could have picked Yuumi mid lane this game and you would have been fine.
Heartbreaker,
Milky
Yumi.
cereal
That-
somewhere in the distance is
Oh,
like
no.
crying out with happiness. RMC, how decisive of a victory was this from Rascal Jesters, and are you surprised it wasn't faster?
No, I'm not surprised it wasn't faster. And
Okay.
yes, it is a decisive victory, but does it matter in the grand scheme of things? No. I want to go back to what Middlecott was saying with that Scion mid, though. You're saying, why did they pull it out here if it's a valid strategy? Middlecott, it's not a valid strategy, and that's why this is so decisive. They just pulled
I'm
a
sorry.
4-fun strat mid and made it work.
I'm sorry, I'm going to put my LJL analytics hat back on.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we're best of one. It won the game, so clearly it's broken. That's all the
Yes.
analysts out there
Yes.
who do
Very base,
very
Lexi.
big
Yes.
I'm
hot
crying.
takes
I'm
on
crying right now.
the two
That was
losses.
straight from the post game thread on Reddit. Like that,
That
was, like-
was, and that's from like Detonation Focus Me losses going, oh, it's all over.
Oh,
Rascal Jester
they're
actually
bad.
best team. It's like, honey, no.
Yeah.
Shut up. All right.
Okay,
It's-
BFM, you know what you need to do in your next games here? Scion mid, gotta
It's
show
like,
out.
it's like C9 try something out, TSM get a win, and the subreddit for TSM supporters goes on fire.
Oh,
They're
it's-
like,
yeah,
think
it's
they've
amazing.
they've cracked it. They're not making playoffs, by the way.
It's not
And
happening.
like V3 Esports aren't. Gentlemen, I think that's where we'll end this matchup. We could go on for ad nauseum, but I really don't think it's worth it. After this short little break, we will be seeing Axis
Mm.
face off against your favorite team, Middlecott.
Yep.
Crest Gaming at Hot Take. Are they winning? Yes or no?
Which one?
Either one. Who's winning?
One of the teams is winning. I agree with you.
All
Lexi.
right,
Yes.
RMC
Yes.
concurs, ladies and
Are they
gentlemen.
winning? Yes.
Yes. After this break, we'll find out who is winning. Yes. After this break. Again. Yes. No.
After
Who
the
was-
break.
We're going.